We hunt for treasure, stacking them in piles. Hustling hard, making deals all day. Flipping finds, turning profit our way. Pure Hustle Podcast guides our quest. Learning tricks to be the best. On eBay we make our name. Reselling dreams, winning the game. Pure Hustle Podcast guides our quest. Learning tricks to be the best. On eBay we make our name. Reselling dreams, winning the game.
Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Rolando, and we're on episode 464, and this is a themed episode.
That's right, 464 episodes in, and we are happy to be live. It looks like we're probably going to settle on Tuesdays for a little while. It seems to be working for both of our schedules. So thank you for all of you who are already subscribers of the YouTube channel. You've hit that like button, you've hit the bell notification and the subscribe button so that when we go live, you don't miss it. And if you're a member of our Discord, of course, we send out notifications, but sometimes those notifications come a little later, so you want to be subscribed. You don't want to miss these. And if you're listening on the podcast right now, we were live on YouTube, and we love our lives because that's a chance to interact with our audience. And one of the things that Orlando and I kind of talked about before we got started is this episode is going to go as long or short as it needs to, and part of that's going to depend on what kind of interaction we have in the comments. So if you've got questions, if you've got stories that connect with what we're talking about, we'd love to see you over here on the YouTube commenting with us.
All right, hey, just want to say what's up to people in the chat. We got Secondhand Solo, my arch nemesis from San Diego, saying, let's get it. Sweet Carolina finds what's going on. Immortality Evolution, long-time listener, appreciate you. We got Riv that says, binge, listen to this and not even caught up, but I'm hooked, LOL. I got to tell you, we have 464 episodes.
Most of them, I mean, you got to figure an hour average because some of our early ones were really long, hour and a half or
long,
more.
Yeah.
And then we have some that are like 45 minutes. But yeah, so an hour average, 464. That's a long time.
Yeah,
we got fill your work weeks.
We got Diddlepug 3 saying hello. And then we got Joe Shaw, who we will have a hustle of the week from Junk La Waha. I think I said that right later on today. Thank you, everyone who joined us. So today's an episode, like, I don't know. This could end up being something that we have a great discussion. So let us know in the chat. This could be something that we're like, boom, 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 and then we're out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I kind of almost feel like this could be like a TikTok video. Like, we can make this short, but I'm always surprised with what we're able to talk about. Orlando, sorry, you froze up, you cut up there, so I just filled in. But go ahead, what were you saying?
Am I back? No, we're gonna talk about, like, hey, what do you do when you have an angry eBay customer, right? What do you do when somebody's like, I can't believe this? Somebody's like, this is trash. Somebody gives you negative feedback. So we got like these top 10 phrases. Right. And we're going to develop these because it's not just a formula like, hey, just use these. But I do encourage people like to use templates. I know eBay, in our last episode, we talked about how they're using AI to create like AI responses to individuals. But for now, I want to make sure that we bring in the human element because I do think the human element is able to fix some problems. Right. So the very first one I want to talk about is the idea that sometimes people just want to be heard. Right, you can get like this message from somebody like, I can't believe like the shipping took so long, or I can't believe like this wasn't packaged well, or I can't believe that this item is the way it is. Right away, our instincts want to be defensive. Like we want to say, what do you mean I shipped that out at this time? What do you mean I packed it well? What do you mean like I took great pictures? Didn't you pay attention? Like that's our initial instinct, right? To be super defensive. But sometimes like having empathy kind of just solves the problem, right? The idea of just saying, hey, you know what? I completely understand your frustration. And even if you don't, you can say, I'm trying to see what you're saying here, or whatever it is. I mean, I'm not going to tell people to lie and kind of just say you understand it, because sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get these crazy people that are like, oh, I thought this was supposed to be like, this tone of green, but it's this tone of green. And you're like, what? Like, really? This is what we're going to argue on? But if you mention, hey, you know what? I understand how frustrating this is. I understand how difficult this is. Some people they want to feel heard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. People definitely want to feel heard. And like you said, it kind of validates their feelings. And I don't think probably many of our listeners are too concerned about saying something like, I completely understand your frustration if they don't, that, hey, I might be lying. But if that is you, if you're that kind of person where you're like, that might be too much of a white lie for me to say because I don't see why they're frustrated, you could say something like this: I understand why you are frustrated. Because then it's like, I understand why you're frustrated because you're a terrible customer and you don't understand. You could have that in the back of your head and that can cover up that little white lie issue you're having. But anyways, yeah, either way, you're diffusing the situation, which is very, very important to do. You want to make sure they feel heard. The other thing too, and this can kind of go, it works a little bit more if you're talking.
I want to address St. Angelo said they want to hurt Londo's feelings. You know what? People do. People message me mean things just to let you know. But I'm okay with that because that means that we've arrived, right? Remember, Mike, the first time we got hate, we're like, you know what? That means we've arrived. We've made it somewhere.
Yeah. We love our trolls. We don't feed our trolls. Don't feed the trolls. But yeah, if you're gonna spend an hour out of your week every week to listen to Pure Hustle podcast, that you can have a nasty comment, we thank you. We're glad we can be part of that. Be that for you in your life, that's good. All right. So our next one here is just saying, hey, thank you for bringing this to my attention, right? Because a lot of times customers, they kind of come at it, they're annoyed, they're frustrated. And if you respond by saying something like, hey, thanks for bringing this to my attention, it kind of flips the script a little bit. And it says, hey, I'm actually grateful. Like, thank you. Like, it's really hard to be upset with somebody when they're saying like, oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that this is what's happened, or thank you for letting me know that it was in that condition. When you say thank you, it's harder for them to be upset because you're just agreeing with them. Right.
Yeah.
So that is a good way of doing it. It helps reverse the attack because that's really what you want to do. You want to try and solve every situation with a buyer where you get some sort of resolution. You're not stuck with a resolve without seller. Right? You don't want that at all. And you want to come up with something with them. And so agree with them as much as you need to, make them feel heard, and then say thank you. Like, thank you for letting me know. Even when we get those people who say things like, hey, this is a fake, and it should have this stitching and this and that, All right. Thank you so much for letting me know that about, this stuff. If you're unhappy, go ahead and send it back. Because then again, once you're saying, thank you. You might not agree with them. Again, you might think they're wrong. You might think it's 100% legitimate. But instead of getting with that argument of, no, this is legit, this is not a knockoff, just say, hey, thank you so much for letting me know all of this information. Go ahead and send it back for a refund, right? And you're going to be in a much better place.
Yeah, and I do like what
Travis says here, buddy.
Yeah,
what's up, buddy?
What's
up, buddy?
Buddy always works for me too. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, for me, you say
Look
buddy,
here, buddy.
like that will not diffuse anything for me. That will just anger me. Like that, buddy. Don't use buddy. All right. Sweet Carolina Fine says, always start out with an apology. It's painful, but it disarms them. I'm so sorry your item has arrived. Yeah, that's the thing. And even though it's not your fault, right? Even though it's not your fault, like, hey, I'm so sorry it didn't meet expectations. I'm so sorry it's not what you thought it'd be. Like, that never hurts. Right? You always want to have it in a way that, like, people just want to be heard. I'm telling you, like, if you start right away by trying to diffuse things in a certain way, I think you're gonna go a long way. If you start getting defensive, I'm telling you that's when things go bad. So just be aware of that. But yeah, I do like that. Let's see. We got secondhand solo here said, I actually reached out to another seller one time because I noticed he was using 2 of my photos in his listing. I thought it was hilarious, but I wanted him to know that I caught it. Really? Like, so what did you say? Like, hey, you stealing my photos? Like, what did you say, secondhand solo? That's all I want to know.
What he did is he sent a legal letter to the person saying that he wants 30% of the sale because those photos belong to him. I don't know if that'd work or not, but you could probably mess with somebody that way for sure.
I don't know. What is this? Travis, is that kind of like telling your woman to calm down? You know what? I'm not even going to acknowledge that one. So, yeah, you don't want to. You ever seen those videos where it's like, here's the best way to settle things with your wife? first thing you should say is tell her to calm down. It's like, now, hopefully people watch the rest of that TikTok because that probably not gonna work.
Yeah,
But
you say
anyways.
calm down. You're acting just like your mom. Those are like great. Those are great responses. Just
Great marriage advice here on the podcast.
Great marriage advice. I mean, I've been married for a while, so if you need more advice like that, just let me know in the chat, and I can give you some great tips. It's good.
You got
Communication is important.
And you got the divorce guy giving marriage advice. Good.
And see, you got to have it from both perspectives, right? Like it's good. It's good stuff, man.
There you go. There you go. All right. Hey, Killing Ford, thanks for catching us. Appreciate you. Appreciate the love here. One of my favorite podcasts every week. All right. So ChatGPT, you know what? There's one thing we haven't addressed in this episode. Somebody said I use ChatGPT to help me form a basic response and then tweak it. You know, that's good. You know, ChatGPT always does this thing with me. No matter what I say, it could be like the greatest thing I've ever written, and it'll be like, let me polish that some more. Let me make it sound a little better. But it's usually right. So yeah, so if you're kind of struggling, like, I don't know how to respond to this, it doesn't hurt to like take a screenshot of the comment and just be like, hey, help me out here. Like, is there anything I can do here? And that does help. That does help. So be aware of that. All right, let me get to our next one here.
Real quick, Orlando, make sure
Yes.
give a little bit of space on the mic when you're coming in.
Sorry, am I yelling into the mic? Sorry.
A little bit. All Check
right,
to my eardrums here.
Sorry. Okay, wait. Okay, one more time. Second Antolo says he's talking about the photo scandal. He caught somebody with his photos. He says photos 3 and 4, my photos. Then I told him to hold out on his price because mine sold for good money. You're a nice guy.
You're a good man.
Pure hustle community right there. So, all right, our next one here is let's figure out the best way to make this right? Because the reason why this is so important, it puts the onus on them, right? It kind of diffuses them. They feel in control. They feel in power. And they're no longer like opposed to you, right? They're not your enemy, right? You're in a partnership. You're trying to make things right. And so it kind of looks at things and goes, you know what? We're going to find a solution, right? We're going to find a way out of here. And I think that's the best way. I do that many times, especially when like I have an item that, well, let's say it arrives broken or something and then people want to return. Sometimes I'm like, hey, you know what? Is there a way we could do a partial return? Like, help me figure out like what is the best dollar amount? Like what works for you? Because sometimes you can get in danger. Like, even though it wasn't your fault, people get mad and they'll leave a negative feedback, right? But if you kind of word it in a way where you're like, hey, listen, I know I arrived messed up and I still want to make things happen. Let me know how we can make things right for you. Let me know how to solve this problem. I got to say, it's worked for me many, especially on the return side. It's worked out many times.
Yeah, especially if you're not looking for like the return right away, but because there are some people who want to keep things and they're fishing for a discount, and you can usually sniff that out pretty quick if they're just trying to sniff for a discount. But if it seems like, hey, this is a legitimate situation, this person wants a return, or there's something wrong with this item that maybe I didn't catch, saying something like that, like would you accept a partial? I usually start it like this. Would you accept a partial refund on this? Would that help to alleviate this situation? And if they say yes, then my next response, instead of giving them a number, because I don't know where they're at. Like, it's kind of like a negotiation at that point. You're opening up a negotiation like you would at a garage sale. You could say something like, what seems fair to you? Like, what would make you happy in this situation? And if they come in really crazy, like they want a 90%, then you might say, hey, I think we're a little too far off on this. Just go ahead and send it for a return. But you'd be surprised how many people will say a very small number. They might be like, hey, maybe 25% off or 20% off. I would have offered 50. Right. And so by allowing them again to say that first number, it's giving them, like Orlando said, a little bit of that ownership. Plus it puts you can find out what's going to make them happy, because it might be a lot less than you expect. And some people feel really bad asking for more. They might feel bad asking for a 50 or 75% off discount, maybe even if that might have been what you were going to offer. So let them make that. And then when you say yes, you're the hero, right? Because you agreed to what they said. And if they're really high and you have to say no, you still can resolve it by saying, I think we're too far off on this. Let's just go ahead and start a return. The next one here is kind of going along those same lines, is using a phrase, something in that discussion at some point of, I want you to feel good about this, right? Just like I mentioned with what would make you happy, like what amount would make you happy? Would you accept a partial refund? I want to make sure you feel good about this purchase, because what you're doing at that point is you're making them feel like you care about their satisfaction. You're not just after like, hey, I want to solve this really fast so I don't get a negative feedback, but you actually want them to leave the situation feeling good, right? And so You can say something like that. I want you to feel good, or ask them like, what would make you feel good about this situation? Like, what can I do to make this better so that you walk away feeling good about this purchase? Because again, you're kind of almost, I don't want to say like subconsciously, but you're almost putting it into their head that by the time you're done with this conversation, they now feel good about this. And so you're much more likely to get that positive feedback, even if it's just, hey, the item was broken, but they had great, customer service. They took care of me. I would buy from them again, right? Because you've told them already, I want you to feel good. Do you feel good about this? Now you're good.
No, I agree. And again, you're just trying to get people into their feels, right? Get people to be like, hey, you know what, this person is human. That is, I would say that's the biggest component, right? You want people to see the humanity of who you are, that you're not like Amazon, you're not like some cold person, right? You actually care, right? You have great concern. Because, how often do you get that these days, right? How often do you go to a store? Like, most people don't care. But I would say eBay sellers, they very much want to keep people happy. And I think the sellers that do well, people like, I'm not saying it's why you have 100% positive feedback, but a lot of people that do, I think it's because they go out of their way, right? They do everything they can to bring the humanity into it, to make things better, right? To be all about that satisfaction. Because when that buyer is satisfied, you're golden. You're okay. You're good. I mean, I've had negative feedbacks turn around because I was like, hey, I really want you to be happy with what you purchased. I'm good about it, and I want you to be okay. So, anyways, I hope that line helped. All right, hey, before
this is good. Really quick, we've got this comment from Immortality Evolution. How about jeans didn't fit? They are not stretch, right? You get that kind of stuff all the time, and it's true. It's like they were stretched. You don't fit into size 33 anymore. Sorry, but yeah, just take the return at that point. You don't want to be that person. You want to tell them like, hey, maybe you're not a size 32. Don't tell them that. Just say, oh man, everything fits different. What can I say? Go ahead and do the return.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. Let's see here. Okay, Sweet Carolina Fine says usually when a buyer is coming at you in DMs, it's because they think they've been scammed. So first order of business is letting them know you are not trying to take advantage of them. I agree. Like, it's not like it used to be, but there is still like this kind of feeling out there that like buying online is a scam, right? Or there's a lot of scammers on eBay, a lot of scammers like on different sites. I would say on Amazon there's a ton of scammers, but not eBay, especially like in the secondary goods market. I don't think there's a lot. But again, you have to address everyone as if there's like their first time buying. Maybe they're not aware. Like, you just got to be transparent with things. Hey, before we move on though, got a lot of things going on here pretty soon. I'm going to be finalizing my taxes to file for October 15. You're like, October 15, Orlando? Yes, I pulled the delay. But you know why I'm confident about it is because I'm using my Reseller Genie. So if you have not used my Reseller Genie, it is bookkeeping software by resellers for resellers. And if you use our code Pure Hustle, you'll get 15% off the first month. Again, use our code Pure Hustle, get 15% off the first month, and you can check out my Reseller Genie. It'll give you a Schedule C. It'll give you a P&L. It'll import everything from eBay and Poshmark. Definitely a tool you want to use. Again, use my Reseller Genie. Use our code Pure Hustle, and you'll get 15% off the first month. All right, let's go a couple more of these, Mike, before we get into our hustles of the week.
Right. You got our next one?
No, I thought you were getting the next one. Okay.
Oh, I did the last one. Okay, well, I can do this one. So our next one is here's what I can do for you. Right. I mentioned earlier, sometimes you want to kind of put the ball in their court and have them give you something, but sometimes you just get nothing. Same thing with when you're in a negotiation. A lot of times you want them to give the first number, you want to try and do stuff, but other times it's like, you know what, I don't want to give that much control to the buyer, or they're not helping you out here. They're just like, I don't know, I'm just mad. This is not right. You need to make it right. And when you get the second or third, like, you just need to make this right. At that point, it's time to just tell them, all right, here's what I can do for you. Right. And give them a good offer. Like, give them the best you can offer. Here's what I can do for you. I can allow you to return this for a full refund. I can offer you a partial refund. I can't, right. You just give them, here's the thing, whatever it is you're willing to do, and let them know what it is you're saying. Because when you phrase it that way, here's what I can do for you, as opposed to if they ask for, hey, I want 75 or I want 90% off on this item, instead of saying, I can't do that. If you say, well, look, here's what I can do for you. I can give you 50% off, or I'm okay with taking a return if you want to just go ahead and send it back, because you're saying what you can do as opposed to what you can't do. Just putting it into that positive light is going to be much better, because people don't like to hear no. All right, people don't want to hear no, 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 no. People want to hear, here's what I can do for you. And you give them the best you can. Maybe if you're in a real like negotiating situation, you start a little low and you can come up from there. But don't tell them I can't do that, right? Same thing, it just applies in negotiations, and it applies when you're dealing with a very upset customer.
No, agreed. All right. This next one, would you be open to? And I know this sounds scary saying that, but do you want to give people options, right? If, for example, I do this all the time when an item that I sell and I can't find it, right? I always say, would you be open to maybe this item over here, or would you like me to cancel the transaction, right? And then I hope they tell me cancel the transaction, and then I cancel it. And when they ask me like, why did you cancel? I say buyer canceled the transaction, right? Again,
Buyer
a
request
lot of
cancel.
yeah, that one. And I know a lot of people don't like when I say that, but I'm telling you, that has saved me so many times, right? Or there's an item that like I'm gonna lose a ton of money if they ship it back, or there's an item that I paid $1 and it's sold for 50. I'm like we said earlier, I always go like, hey, would you be open to some kind of return? Would you be open to, I usually start off with a lower number. Would you be open to 20%, refund? Then they'll go like, I could do 30, or I could do 40%. Like, you want to kind of make these suggestions, right? Because in the end, you don't want there to be finality. You don't want it to be like, hey, return the item. Sometimes it's okay. I mean, sometimes, there's items that sell that it was so cheap and it sold for not much that I'm like, you know what, just keep the item and just, you can have it. I'll refund you. No big deal. But there's other times like you still want to maintain profit. So keep that, would you be open to? And if you're able to do that, would you be open to? It definitely helps you out a lot. So, hey, let us know too, as we're talking here, if you have any comments, you have things that you say that help you out when you're dealing with those negative experiences on eBay, let us know. But I think it's time for our hustles of the week.
Yeah.
Come on, hustlers. It's the freaking hustle of the week.
Yeah. The hustle of the week. Here we
Come
go.
on, hustlers.
Oh, I've got that on
Doing
repeat
it
there. We'll turn
again.
that off. We'll just keep it rolling. Just the rest of the episode, man. We'll just get pumped up. So our first one here comes from Terry as a Gmail. So believe it or not, we'll get to those Gmails. Says, longtime listener, first time submission. Went to a higher end estate sale that had many luxury items. Beforehand, before I had been browsing pictures and saw that they had a Sony FX9 video camera. Nice. I did some research beforehand and saw they sell anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. When I got to the sale, I immediately went to the cameras to see what it was priced at. They had it at $1,400, so I decided to take a chance. It came with a large carrying case with a few extra lenses, and there's money in lenses.
I know.
When I got home, I was absolutely shocked to see what the extra lenses went for. I ended up selling the first lens for $1,500 via a local meetup, so no fees, and that covered the initial purchase. The second one ended up selling for $2,500 on eBay. Then the body of the camera ended up selling by itself for $5,000 on eBay. To my surprise, the body only had 11 hours of use on it, so everything was in near mint condition. I decided to splurge and overnight ship the camera body from Illinois to California, as I didn't want it to transit for too long. With all expensive items, there's always the worry of being scammed, but both eBay buyers were ecstatic about their items and immediately left positive feedback. After shipping and fees, I made roughly $6,600 in profit. Sometimes it pays to spend a bit more time with proper research, of course. Yeah, I think that is beautiful. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, do hustles like this happen every single month, every single week? No, they just don't. Like, you could be the best reseller in the world, and you might go weeks or months with just getting bread and butter items and things that sell for a decent amount. But if you're out there consistently, like, what other job can you do where one day, 3 listings, a few hours of work, and you're making more than a lot of people are making in a month or two? Right, just in boom, you're done. So it's what an incredible hustle. I guess I've talked about cameras and camera lenses a lot on this podcast, but part of me wants to say, like, stay away from cameras and camera lenses, people, because that's my market. Get out of there. But good job, Terry.
Nice work. All right, hey, our next hustle. Hey, by the way, if you have a hustle a week, let us know here. So, all right, this next one, It comes from Ryan from Gmail. And by the way, if you ever want to shoot us an email, you can shoot us an email at purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. And while we're at it, you can follow us on social media. We are Pure Hustle Podcast on all platforms, except we are Pure Hustle Cast on X. And as always, if you're listening to the show for the first time and you don't know that we have a YouTube, come on over to the YouTube, right? Subscribe, smash that like button, hit that bell notification. You never know when we're dropping an episode. And always grateful for all of you that listen to us on different podcasts. And one of the ways that you can help us out is by leaving us a review. And you just go over iTunes, leave us a review. We are the most reviewed podcast out there. We are the largest reselling, not most reviewed podcast, the most reviewed reselling podcast out there, and largest reselling podcast out there because of all of you and your reviews. So jump on over to iTunes. And last of all, if you're like, hey, you guys are talking about a Discord, which we're going to talk about some of our Discord here. The way you get into Discord is go to patreon.com/purehustlepodcast or go to the link below for $5.55 a month. $5.55 a month. That's nothing these days. You can be part of our Discord. In this Discord, the Pure Hustle community is made up of tons of awesome resellers that sell all kinds of goods. We share bolos, hustle of the week. We end up sharing shipping tips. Whatever is reselling related is there, and there's a place for you to find community. So go over to Patreon and sign up and join us in the Discord. All right. So this next one's another email. This is Ryan from Gmail. Says, hey guys, appreciate the show so much. I was at Value Village a few weeks ago and I saw a strange device in the electronics area. I Google lensed it and found out it was a Mark Pro Plus 10s unit, a muscle stimulator device. It retailed new for around 1,600 Canadian dollars. Okay, so Google Lens is your friend. I would say I use Google Lens before I ever use eBay. That's just a tip for me. For everybody else, like, because Google Lens, it's able to identify it faster. And then once you know what it is, then you can go over eBay and begin searching comps. All right, so found this muscle stimulator. The unit was a bit older and wouldn't turn on. I managed to find a charger in the store that was close enough to write voltage, and it seems to power up when I plugged it in. I took it home for $12 and tested it with my multimeter to make sure everything else worked. Sold it on eBay. Okay, so paid, was it 10? How much did they pay? Oh, I'm guessing they'll tell. Did you tell us in here? Am I missing it? I don't know. Okay. Sold it on eBay for $401. No battery, no charger, no leads, no case, no LEDs. Definitely my best find so far. Only been in it a few months. Listen, when you've only been in it for a few months, like that keeps you motivated, right? That keeps you going. Like you have those big. And I'm guessing
Ryan picked it up for $12.
Was it $12? Did I miss that?
Yep.
I'm so sorry. You know what? Reading has changed. For me.
Take this home for $12. Sell it for 401. That's a win.
There you go. Nice work there, Ryan. Hey, thanks for the Gmail. All right, what's next, Mike? This is from our Discord, by the way. And
all right, our next one's from our Discord. I was gonna say that we've got representation in the chat right now. So we got Junklawaha. Am I saying that right? I've always wondered.
Joe Shaw right here says, thank you so much for the shout out. This is the best motivation so I can get on here again.
Nice. All right. So I finally have a fun hustle of the week. We all know Pokemon sells. I was at a dumpster diving for packing supplies and I found this empty Pokemon Stadium game box for the N64 in a cardboard dumpster. It had the original manual and promotional inserts. The box itself was in good condition. Comp seemed all over the place, so I listed it at price I thought was solid. Sold in less than 12 hours for $115 with free shipping. Positive feedback received from literal trash to cash. Fantastic. And I tell you what, like, I played Pokemon Stadium. I'll never forget. I probably have talked about it on this podcast. When Pokemon Stadium first came out, I rode my rollerblades on like this outer highway road for like a good 4 or 5 miles to get to the local Walmart because I had saved up my money to buy Pokemon Stadium, and I played that game a lot. But now seeing like what it sells for, I just like, man, what if I just would have like kept it in its box? So many things like that. So many things I wish I would have kept.
There's so many things like that. Like,
but it's trash. You know what I mean? It's trash for somebody. They throw it in the trash, and it's money. It's money. So fantastic job. Thank you, Joe Shaw. Junkalawaha.
There you go. All right, Mike, what is your hustle of the week?
All right, so on our last podcast, I talked about wanting to get out and get to some garage sales because my son's soccer practice got moved. which it did. We were doing Friday night. It rained like crazy, middle of his tryout. So we had to leave and come back the next morning. So I was a little bummed because I didn't think I'd be able to hit up any garage sales, but I still was able to stop at 2. First one was a bust. The second one, though, I picked up 3 kettlebells in really good shape, a 30, a 35, and it's either a 40 or a 42. I don't know. It's like a weird one. But anyways, really good, nice kettlebells and a weighted like vest. So it's a vest that has plates so you can insert metal, not like the workout plates, but they're like square plates that are for it. And for the most part, when I do local sales for weights, because I tend not to ship weights, it was maybe worth it during COVID. Now it's not so much. But you can still get on the used market $1 a pound. Kettlebells are a little bit more a lot of times because it's just for whatever reason they're not as easy to come by. But even if I average $1 a pound for these, I paid $40 for all 4 pieces, the 3 kettlebells and for the weight vest. And I should be able to sell the kettlebells. They'll all be sold by the end of this week if I sell them on Facebook Marketplace or offer up. So I'm going to sell these really quick. I'm going to sell them for about $1 a pound. Plus, I think I'm going to keep the weight vest. And what I'm going to do is, since the plates come out, take them out, wash the thing because that's gross. And then those are expensive too. Like if you're looking at a weight vest, you go onto Amazon, go onto eBay right now and look at how much those weight vests cost. You're looking at, for the vest alone, even without the plates, it can be anywhere from $50 to $100. And the plates themselves, you're talking like sometimes $5 to $10 per pound. So it is a fantastic deal. I can't believe I was able to get it all for $40. So what it's going to end up doing is I'm going to make a ton of money, and I just saved myself a bunch of money because I was planning on buying a weight vest anyways.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not that hardcore like Mike, but I
get hardcore.
I work. You know what, David Goggins, you got
to live hardcore if you want to be hardcore, because the Legend of the Rent is way hardcore.
I don't know what that is. Okay, all right. We're gonna go to
you don't know what that is? Somebody in the comments, tell them I'm not crazy.
I don't. I believe you. I don't think you're crazy. I just don't know what that is. All right. Here we're going to go to Kevin Ford. Kevin Ford has a hustle of the week and thought we'd share. Well, it's not hustle of the week, but just wanted to share what this said. I bought a large lot of 35mm cameras and lenses for $200, 25 plus cameras, made $500 on 5 cameras. Super lucky on this score. You know what? That's the wild thing. Like with cameras, like I'm telling you, there's money in cameras. Like, and sometimes you're thinking like, no way, who wants this old camera? But I'm telling you, digital cameras right now, like they're a thing. Like if you want digital cameras, like you can definitely like pick them up and make good money. So
yeah, one of my coworkers, it's really funny. One of my coworkers that works right next to me, she was my like student teacher last year, so she got hired on full time. And she came into my classroom because she knows I'm into technology. She's like, "Hey, do you have a charger for this?" And she had a little old like Sony Click digital camera, like not even like a nice DSLR or anything. And I was like looking at it, and I thought I did, but it's a special charger. And so I'm like, no, you're gonna have to probably buy one off eBay or Amazon. And she's like, yeah, because these are just so popular with the kids right now. So I thought this would be fun to do stuff with the kids. And so I'm thinking, man, even those old point and shoot like cheapy digital cameras are starting to become popular again. So
yeah,
pretty crazy.
For reals. So, all right. So my hustle of the week, I've shared this before, but it keeps giving. So I don't know. It's been like 3 years. I went to this garage sale, and I remember this garage sale was one where like I showed up early. I thought there was like junk. Like I really thought it was junk. It seemed like a guy that, those resellers that try to do garage sales. I thought that's what it was. And I remember like I saw some yard signs that were vintage, so I picked those up, and then I found some old like PlayStation and Nintendo video games. I was like, oh, like this isn't so bad, right? And then I saw like somebody had picked up a bunch of NES games, and I was like, oh man, I missed out on those. And I don't know if you guys remember the story where like somebody in the corner had all these Game Boy Advance boxes, and they were going through them, and they were trying to find the games, and there was no games, so they just kept throwing the boxes in the trash, right? Kind of like this N64 Pokemon game. And I remember like, this isn't my hustle of the week, but if you guys remember, like that trash bag full of Game Boy Advance games had all these Pokemon games in there. Not the games, but just the boxes. And I sold the boxes for thousands of dollars. Like I paid $180 for everything I picked up that day. Those boxes alone made me $3,000 to $5,000. And then right in front of my eyes, like I had never picked up manga in my entire life. I didn't even know what manga was. I thought, just some anime kind of books. I had no idea what it was. And I'm telling you, it probably was like an hour and a half that resellers had gone through did not pick up any of the manga. Well, as I started researching, I'm like, hey, there's complete sets. Like this is when One Piece was really hot, right? And I was able to sell some of the One Piece manga for like just the book itself. Like it was the first edition gold foil. I was able to sell it for like $150. Well, I ended up picking up, I don't know, like 1,000 books, like a ton of books. And I've already made probably $10,000 on that haul. Craziest, one of the craziest hauls I've ever had. But again, I sold another manga set. You know, I paid what? I paid what, $1 maybe less than that, 50 cents. So I sold Trinity English Manga volumes 1 through 9 for $117 plus ship. And I'm like, wow. Like, I can tell you, I would say every week I'm selling manga from this. I still have manga left over in my collection. So don't sleep on manga. That's a bolo, but that's also Hustle Week. There's a lot of money to be made. So there you go. The Hustle of the Week. Thank you everyone for sharing your Hustle of the Week. Always know you can shoot us an email with your Hustle of the Week because we always love sharing. And in the Discord, obviously, if you're in the Discord, go to our Hustle of the Week thread and you can share with us your Hustle of the Week. So hopefully be on the podcast. All right, Mike. Let's wrap. Well, not wrap things. We got a little bit. So what are some other things here that we can help people up with?
All right. So sometimes customers are pushing really hard and they're trying to do things maybe shady. We all know what it's like to be scammed, or have someone try and scam us, or somebody maybe is just they're unaware of how things work. And one really powerful thing you can say or do is say, eBay has certain policies. I want to do the best I can to help you, but I got to work within those policies, right? Because you're doing a couple of things when you say that. One, you're letting them know like, hey, I do want to help you, but my hands are kind of tied. So you're taking you take ownership of what you can in the exchange, but then you're also saying there's certain things I can't do, right? Like I can't work outside of the platform. I'm not going to send you messages outside the platform. I'm not going to send you money outside of the platform. And then the other thing it does is it lets them know like it can almost be a veiled threat of, hey, if you're pushing really hard, I'm letting you know I know eBay policies, and it can kind of cause some of those people, especially if they seem to be a little bit more scammy, to back away. So I think it's a double-edged sword, right? You're saying, hey, here's what I can actually do. Here's what I can't do. And it's because of eBay policies. So it's letting them know I want to help you, but here's the boundaries, here's the parameters that I'm working within. And if they are somebody who's trying to scam or get one up on you, you can kind of let them know, like, I'm not playing that game.
Yeah, no, agreed. And again, like, you're welcome to blame eBay, right? Because sometimes people want to go and if you can, I know it sounds terrible, if you can trap them in the messages and trying to maybe extort you or maybe trying to get you to break the rules, all for it. Like, because in the end, it's gonna help you out with eBay, right? Because all you need is them for the slip up one time, and then eBay will side with you and will help you whatever negative feedback you have, whatever issues you have. Because eBay very much wants to stick those policies, so be aware of that. All right, this next one. I know people struggle, right? All of these are like apologetic and they're all about empathy. They're all about kindness. But I'm telling you, kindness wins, especially when it comes to like customer service, like being abrasive and trying to be defensive. Like let those people hang out in the e-commerce bites comments. Okay. Don't bring them into your DMs. Like be always kind, be generous. This next one is, hey, I appreciate your patience while we sort this out. Again, I appreciate your patience while we sort this out, because what you're saying is like, hey, I want to make things right with you. Right. But at the moment, like, I don't know what that is. And you're being honest, you're being transparent, right? But you're being grateful. You're saying, hey, in the end, I'm grateful that you're a buyer. I'm grateful that you bought my product. Right. And it's going to take me a little bit to figure out, like, especially with like shipping. I get people all the time that are like, hey, where's my item? Or tracking says this, or I don't know what's going on. It's like, hey, I really appreciate your patience. Let me sort through this out. Let me go to the post office tomorrow. Let me contact eBay. Like, if you start with that line, it kind of diffuses the situation. I've been able to use that multiple times to save myself from, putting myself in a bad place, instead of just saying, you know what, I don't got enough time, or you know what, hey, I can't solve this right now. Listen, just tell them, hey, thanks for waiting. I will sort this out. I'll make it right.
Yeah, I mean, I ordered something off the internet from like a third party. It wasn't through eBay, and the person in their email, like when I did the order stuff through, every time they responded back, and I mean, they weren't doing anything wrong. Like there wasn't like, I wasn't already upset, but they kind of diffused, or they prevented me from getting upset with anything that was slow. With every message started with, hey, thank you for your patience, as like they didn't even explain what was going on, but it's like, hey, we appreciate your patience with this order. So in my mind, like 100 things are running, like maybe they're super busy, maybe something's going on. Like I haven't complained about things taking a long time or anything, but they multiple times, thank you for your patience with this. And so it already kind of just set me, I'm like, hey, whatever there, as long as it gets out on time, like I'm happy. So even starting with something like that, like, hey, thank you for your order. Appreciate your patience as we get this sent out today. That automatically can kind of put them in a mindset of like, oh, well, you're welcome. Like I will be patient. Again, you're kind of telling them that ahead of time. You're almost telling them how to feel. Another one that is good is saying something like, once you get something figured out, or even if you're in the process of figuring it out, saying something like, hey, once we get this resolved, I would really appreciate it, or would you consider, I'd be grateful if you'd consider updating your feedback, especially if somebody gives you a negative feedback. They haven't reached out to you first about whatever's going on. This item came broken, or this was not as described. Reach out to them. Hey, I see you were upset with the item. Work through all those things we talked about in the past. And then as you're working through it, say, once we get this resolved and once we get you taken care of, would you consider, updating your feedback? I'd really appreciate it. I want to have, I want to make sure you're happy with this sale, and I want to make sure that I provide the best customer service to all of my customers. When you approach it that way and wait until you're already moving them towards a positive feeling, the chances of them going back and changing that is going to be much higher, because a lot of times people leave negative feedback when they're heated, they're angry. I can't tell you how many times we've been somewhere and like in the moment, I'm like, I just want to leave a negative Yelp review. Like this, I cannot believe the service I get. I cannot believe that they did this. And then like you get home and things are going, and then you forget to leave the Yelp review. It's the people who are like in that moment, they're angry and they do the thing, right? But once you cool off a little bit, you contact them, you get them the situation resolved, there's a good chance that you're going to have the feedback changed. I've had it happen multiple times.
And that's the reality of eBay, like in the sense that eBay actually, they love it when you resolve things with the customer. Like all the time, like I try to get feedback, they're always like, hey, have you reached out to the customer first? Right? So if you can get them right to agree, you can get them to kind of see that side. And I always play this is the family business, helping my son, whatever you can. I always want to say, hey, in the end, I've resolved this issue, and I know it was tough, but if you could just update this feedback, it would definitely help me out. So be aware of that, because that can always help you out. Because yeah, I would say remember the good old days used to be like, you can call eBay if you're a concierge, like you got like those 2 or 3 freebies, like those days are done. Right now you have to make sure that your language is right. You have to make sure that you resolve everything with the buyer. So hey, I want to share something that's not related to all this. That we got Shelton Kyle here, says, we're getting the global shipping program in Canada now. I welcome this. Means more sales to other foreign countries besides the USA. And then they said the problem before was it was so expensive to ship stuff, and it was untracked to other countries besides the USA. And you know what? Like now that you got it, like that's amazing. Because for us in the States here, like global shipping is a piece of cake. If you're not doing international shipping, whatever you want to call it, via eBay, you're losing money. Because when you sell something, all you have to do is ship it within the States, and then eBay takes care of it. And the best part of it is if you get negative feedback, eBay will remove it. If it ends up broken in transit, or if it ends up like getting stuck in customs, eBay will refund them and you get to keep your money. So definitely do that. I encourage you, all the Canadians out there, if this is truly happening and it's happening soon, jump on it. You have no idea how much money that you're going to start making now that you have global shipping with eBay. All right, we're going to get to our very last one. If anybody has any other comments or any other, ways that you should talk to buyers that are upset, let us know. So our last one here says, I value you as a buyer and hope we can do business again. And I got to tell you, I've done this one so many times, and it has led to more business, right? The goal on eBay, yes, is to make sales. But if you can get those repeat buyers, you can get those buyers that are always looking for whatever you're selling. I remember there was a time I had like, I don't know how many repeat buyers for Hawaiian shirts. I would get it so many times where people would be like, hey, I'm so glad you worked this out with me. I'm so, I know the return was bad. I know the shirt didn't fit, but you know what? I'll come around next time and I want to do business with you again. And guess what? They became repeat buyers over and over and over again. So be aware that like you can turn a bad situation into a good situation, right? You can turn something that could have ended in a negative feedback to now you got a positive buyer that's going to be a repeat buyer. I don't know. Have you experienced some of that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to get lots of repeat buyers, but I do think that's a good thing to say, like, hey, whether it's I value you as a customer, or let's say you've had back and forth with this customer, you've gone through all these things, definitely ending with something to that effect of, I really appreciate you. Once again, thank you for bringing this to my attention, and I'm glad we were able to work this out. I appreciate you as a buyer. Ending it with that positive note is definitely a huge, huge positive.
Yeah, because remember, in the end, like if you can turn a one-off sale into multiple sales, or maybe you end up landing somebody that's like in a community, right? Like maybe they're part of the ham radio world, right? Maybe they're part of the Hawaiian shirt or the collectible trains, and then communicate to other people like, hey, you know what? This person messed up, but they made things right, and I'm gonna go back to them. Maybe you should check them out. Like you don't know, and the important thing about this whole podcast is understanding that, like, hey, going the extra mile, providing that customer service is going to allow you to get more sales. It's going to keep your feedback up, and it's just going to overall benefit your business. Hey, everyone, thanks for tuning in. I know this was a little bit shorter than usual, but next time or next update, maybe we'll go a little bit longer than usual. But appreciate you all in the chat. Appreciate everyone supporting us. Make sure to smash that like button. With that being said, make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling. Lates.
Peace.